This is Sports.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Michael Artsis. Joining us via the phone line is George Atallah. He is from the NFL Players Association. George, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
George, so much has happened and so little has happened since the lockout has been enforced by the owners and you guys decertified. Can you tell me what the latest is right now?
Well, we just finished 6-7 straight days of meetings with players, current and former players, just to kind of gather ourselves, exchange the right information as to what happened during mediation and during negotiations. So it's been great. The family of players has come together. We're really strong. We really feel good about where we are despite being locked out. And there's always a game plan and a strategy moving forward. So that's what we've been doing over the last 6-7 days.
In talking with a lot of players, they've said that they seem to be very happy with the way this is going so far. They seem to be convinced that you guys have a united front, all things that are important in this kind of a situation. Has there been, and the communication that you just talked about is really, really important. And so I know that they're all saying that this communication is happening, which is great. It's an integral part. Has there been any progress made?
Progress as it relates to what? As it relates to getting a new agreement in place, or progress as it relates to what the players are working on, or
well, any of the
I guess
really
a little more.
Any of the above. Has there been any progress with the owners and the players getting back to the table? Have the owners shown any signs of making any movement or any gestures? I mean, because originally when it first happened, it seemed like the NFL and the owners came out very hostile, including Goodell. I've heard from several players that the letter that was sent from Goodell was pretty nasty, actually, and they were kind of insulted by it.
Yeah, it wasn't received very well, to say the least. And our perspective is not to take any of these things personal. It is just a business, and we approach it as businessmen. But at the end of the day, you can't help but look at some of the things that they've done over the last 2 years and realize that they've been building up towards this point. I mean, look, I work with the media all the time. I understand how certain things are put into place, and you don't just issue a 19-point press release 5 minutes after you've presented a proposal on the table to the other side without having that prepared for a few days, if not a few weeks. So I understand how the game works, and the players have done what they can and everything in their power up until decertification to reach a new CBA, and then now what we're trying to do is understand what our legal recourse is to make sure the guys are out in the field back in OTAs and mini camps and all of that good stuff. So, and I realize too, for every fan that's listening or watching, they just want to see football, right? I mean, at the end of the day, people want to see games. People want to see their favorite teams and players out on the field. And they want to spend Sundays, Sunday nights, Monday nights, and now Thursday nights with their families, trying to enjoy the game that they love. And we want to try and give it to them.
Now, a lot of the guys are taking to Twitter to communicate, the players, and I think it's a really good thing because I think that they've been able to communicate to the fans. A lot of the players apologizing to the fans, which I don't think as a fan is necessary because I don't blame this on the players, but I do think it's a nice gesture, and it's nice that they can communicate directly with their fans. The other thing I find interesting, guys like David Clowney tweeting about Cobra, the health insurance that the players are offered now, and saying don't go with that, go with this, and players being able to communicate. Is there a central place that the players can get their information, and how do you feel about the communication via Twitter?
I think Twitter's been an amazing tool for the players. I think social media in particular is a way that people can connect directly with fans. Fans can connect directly with the players, and I think given that traditional media and breaking news, if you will, happens so fast, Twitter's an excellent way for players to get their message across. And I think it's one of those things where guys use it very, very effectively. And anything that's done on the, as you guys see now, Twitter or Facebook, has turned into news, and we use it as a players association to get news out very quickly as well.
Now, what about these guys doing other things, like Ocho Cinco going and trying out for soccer? Do you think that's just a guy amusing himself, being bored? I know a lot of the players are doing a lot of things to kind of keep themselves busy, to keep themselves active. What do you think of all that?
I think every player has their prerogative to do what they want to do when they're not on the field, and obviously the NFL and the owners made a decision to lock us out, and at this point, players have to do what's best for them and their families. You hear a lot of misperception out there that this is a fight about millionaires and billionaires, and that's not the case at all. Guys have to get out and take care of their families, and I think players at least understand that this business dispute really affects a lot more people than just the players and the owners. And you only hear one side talking about that. You don't hear the other side. The owners in particular, or the league, worry about what happens with the stadium workers, concession workers, vendors, all the people that support the game. In fact, quite the opposite. The assistant coaches, for example, have all taken pay cuts. You've seen a lot of furloughs on team staff. All that's a result of the owners locking everybody out.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Gene Fugit on many times to come on and discuss what's going on, and I've said this many times. To me, the most disgusting part from the owners' end is that they've put their loyal workers. Yeah, they might have a dispute with the players, and that's fine. But they've put their loyal workers who have been so loyal for so long, and I know so many of those guys who work in the PR offices, who are the equipment trainers, who deal with the concession stands, who make sure that the stadium and the practice facilities and the lights are on, and including the assistant coaches have been either let go or put on furlough. Hey, when we're back, you guys will have a job, or their hours have been greatly diminished and their pay has been greatly diminished, and these guys have families and count on this money, and the teams are really just abandoning them, and I feel that's just horrendous, and it does affect a lot of people. And I think you brought up another good point as well, is that a lot of people think that professional football players are millionaires and make so much money and people shouldn't feel sorry for them. But I don't feel that that's true because of two things. One, while a lot of players do make a lot of money, not every player makes that much money, and they're realistically, those players are doing this for a very short period of time, and the average salary is not high when you really think about the grand scheme of everything, especially when guys are left crippled after their playing days are over, and it's hard for them to transition. A lot of people don't realize it's very hard for an NFL player to transition back into, let's say, regular civilian life, not only mentally, but also to find a job, to find a career, and to support their families, and that's a very hard thing, and I think people don't realize that. And when you look at it, yeah, the owners are billionaires, but I think that you just need to look at what's right and what's fair, not as a fan, not how much anybody makes. I never like looking at anybody's pocket. So I think that that's an important thing. Do you expect that there will be any progress before April 6th?
Well, we issued a letter to the league. Our class action council, our legal counsel, issued a letter to the league saying that the class of players would be willing to have discussions, with their group of people anytime that they wanted to, so we can work on getting a settlement. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there as to, should they have negotiations, or should they, what's the proper context? And given that we're no longer a union, and we filed a class action suit, or players filed a class action suit to try and lift the lockout, any kind of agreement that would guarantee the long-term business of football would have to be done under a class action settlement. And right now, the league has told us definitively that they're not interested in those kinds of conversations. So I hope that they'll change their minds. I can certainly tell you that the players from Brady to Manning to Von Miller to Drew Brees, who I spent a good chunk of time with over the last couple of weeks. Those guys are ready to do what they can to make sure that the games continue.
I think it's so great that these guys who are so powerful and wield such big sticks as far as Breeze and Manning and the bigger name players have really stepped up and took it upon themselves and put this on their shoulders and said, we're a united front, it's all for one and one for all, because without that it would make it a lot more difficult, and they are part of this, and for them to really do that means a lot, I think.
Well, it means a lot to me too, because I've been hustling for the last couple of years, working for the players. They're an incredible group of men. They're a lot of them are, I'm proud to call my friends at this point in time, and I got to tell you, it's insane to me how they could lock this out without justifying their reasons for it. It's just insane. None of this makes any sense. I don't understand it. I'm not sure players understand it. Everything that they have done, however, has shown that this has been in the cards for a long time.
Well, the thing I don't understand is that a work stoppage is never a good thing in professional sports or in any business, but it's been proven many times that history has shown that it's never a good thing, especially for the business owner.
Well, you can't, but you got to remember, though, they've got that TV money locked up as of right now, where DirecTV and others would pay them $4 billion, even if the games aren't played.
It's a slick, shady move. One more thing.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I know you're crazy busy, but one more thing before I let you go, and that is, what do you think about the rookie class? I mean, my heart kind of goes out for these guys because they don't know what to do. Show up for the draft, don't show up for the draft. What's going to happen to them? They're kind of in limbo, and a lot of the guys left college early, and they're, like I said, they're in limbo.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they have a decision to make. They're entering at a very interesting time in the business, a contentious time in the business, and that's unfortunate because you never want to see, young men that are chasing their dreams, and they're about to have this really special moment. You don't want it to be ruined by a lockout. You just don't, and we don't. We tried everything we could to avoid it. But at the same time, they now have a responsibility to their future teammates, and they have to make a decision as to whether or not they can, in good conscience, participate in an event with a group of people that engaged in a lockout strategy. That's up to them and their families. I've said it on the record, and I'll say it again to your listeners. The Players Association is not asking anybody to boycott the draft. It's just a matter of understanding the business that you're in, and the time that you're in. And to paraphrase from an old Chinese proverb, we live in interesting times.
That's for sure. I have a good feeling and a positive feeling that eventually this will resolve itself. I would like it to happen sooner rather than later, and I don't want it to be a painful thing, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer. I look forward to having you on again regularly throughout this, and I look forward to hearing more of what you have to say. And I want to tell everybody to check out NFLlockout.com. I know you guys are posting a lot of great stuff, and you're doing live feeds all the time with one of our partners, Ustream.tv, and with their help and support as well. And I think that's great. So NFLlockout.com. George Atallah from the NFL Players Association, an executive there. I want to thank you very much for your time on sports.com.
I appreciate it, and look forward to coming back on the show.
I look forward to having you. I'm Michael Artsis for everyone at sports.com. Thank you for watching. Be terrific.